Scott Morrison, thanks for your time. This trial you've announced today is going to apply to 10,000 children for starters. Do you expect there will be stronger demand than that, and how will you choose the 10,000 who are going to take part?
Well, the priority for this program are those families who are currently unable to access mainstream childcare and early childhood learning services, and those particularly in key worker occupations are doing shift work, so whether it's police officers or nurses, or even back to my old portfolio, customs officers, soon to be Australian Border Force officers, who are involved in those occupations where there is not only shift work but sometimes very uncertain working hours. And that often makes it very difficult for them to plan their childcare arrangements and access them. And so that is the priority of the scheme. I should stress also we'll be focusing on regional areas and rural areas where often the location reduces the range of services that are available to families, and also families who have children with special needs, whether it's something like autism or other forms of disabilities that can make it very difficult to access those mainstream services.
But again, even amongst those groups you identify, I would expect there's going to be more than 10,000 families who want to take part. How do you choose this? Does it just go to the neediest?
Well, that's right. This will be based on need, and of course there'll be an income means tested layer that is added to this as well, to make sure that we're helping those families who are in the most needy of circumstances. But this is a pilot program. It's not a full-blown implementation program, and the reason for that is we need to get the processes and the integrity measures right, and we need to get the systems right before taking it beyond this, and we need to assess its success over that period of 2 years before committing to something more broad.
Now, the nanny will have to be an approved service provider. What actual qualifications will they need to have?
Well, we require them to have first aid qualifications and also the certificate in relation to working with children. Obviously, service providers, I'm quite sure, will provide services with nannies who have other educational qualifications, but we're going to leave it to the family to make the decision about what level of qualification they require in those areas. We need to keep this as flexible as possible, David. I mean, we have those requirements through the National Quality Framework in the mainstream services, but what we're delivering here are non-mainstream services, and we need to keep it as flexible as possible.
Nearly a third of young children are apparently right now being looked after by grandparents. Would it be feasible under this trial for a grandparent to qualify for the subsidy, even if it means registering with an agency?
No, I don't believe so, and that's not what this program is designed to do. This is meant to supplement existing levels of support that are out there, whether informally through family or that are available formally through the mainstream services. So this is a professional services that is being provided. It'll need to be done through registered providers. Some of those providers may well be already operating in the formal daycare environment, and that I think will provide an added level of quality and certainty in terms of making sure the arrangements work efficiently and effectively.
Now, at the moment, childcare can cost around $100 a day. The government rebate covers half of that, so $50. You've indicated this subsidy for nannies will actually be a bit less than that?
No, what I've said is that the benchmark price upon which subsidies will be based, and the Productivity Commission recommended the use of a benchmark. While we don't necessarily agree with the median being used to set that, the benchmark is a very good idea. That will be set at different levels for different types of care. And so the benchmark for long day care would be at one level, and for occasional care at another, and after and preschool care, and of course care provided through in-home services by nannies would be at another level. And that's all a function of the level of overheads and the cost of service delivery. So we'll be ensuring that benchmark price for the in-home care provided by nannies is commensurate with that cost of provision.
And where will the $246 million come from?
It will be offset by the savings that are currently unlegislated in the Parliament relating to family tax benefit initiatives, and there are a range of measures there, and this will be spelled out more clearly in the budget for the entire package, which I'll be announcing with the Prime Minister as well between now and the budget, and those offsets will be clear. And it's important that people appreciate that, yes, we will be investing more here, but we will be ensuring it washes its face in terms of the savings that are necessary to support the increased investment. I think that's the right thing to do by taxpayers.
Well, some of those savings announced in last year's budget by the government include the cuts to Family Tax Benefit Part B for single-income families, and that includes limiting it to those earning less than $100,000 a year and cutting off the payment when a child turns 6 rather than 16. Now, a lot of your National Party colleagues, as you know, are uneasy about that. They say that mums in regional areas in particular often do choose to stay at home to look after the kids and get no support. What do you say to them?
Well, some of the measures you mentioned there, one of them's actually already been legislated, and that's the reduction in the threshold from $150,000 down to $100,000. That comes into effect on the 1st of July of this year. But the other ones that I'm principally referring to are the payment freezes for 2 years and matters relating to the indexation of thresholds and the subsidies. And the previous government put through around $15 billion worth of savings and changes to family tax benefits of that nature. And so really, I think these types of saving measures should sit comfortably with an opposition which were doing the same thing when they were in government, and the only reason I could think they have not supported them until now has been for fairly capricious political reasons.
Now, Joe Hockey has said again today that the budget challenge is on the spending side, not the revenue side. In other words, the government is spending too much. However worthy this initiative you've announced today may be, isn't it opening up a new spending front, providing a subsidy where one previously didn't exist?
Well, that's why the offsets are so important, David. And the offsets, go off into the future as well, just like any initiatives here also extend beyond the budget and forward estimates. So I think you highlight a very important principle, and that is where you want to ensure...
Sure, but if you can find a saving, isn't it better to put that into fixing the budget bottom line rather than opening up a new spending front?
Well, in some cases that will be exactly what is occurring, and in other areas where the government sees a priority to increase investment, we won't be just doing that by adding to the taxpayer's burden. We'll be doing that by offsetting those costs as we have in this case, and that's a rule that I think should apply to the government. It's also a rule that should apply to the opposition and the crossbenchers as well. If people want to spend more money, then they've got to find more savings, and that's what this government is doing.
OK, the final question. If the $250,000 income limit that you've set on this program, the subsidy for nannies, is that also the income limit that will apply for the childcare rebate more broadly?
Well, we'll be making further announcements on the broader mainstream packages between now and the budget, and so I'm not going to be drawn on that at this point. That's what we've put in place for this measure. I think it's highly unlikely we'll see many, if any, cases that extend up to that level of income, and that's something we'll review over the course of the pilot. The overwhelming majority will be focused on low to middle income earners, many of which will be less than $120,000 family income. And when you're talking about, two parents working in key worker occupations in a place like where I'm standing right now in Penrith, then we're not talking about people on barren salaries here. We're talking about people who are working in some of the most important jobs that we have in our community, who have been missing out on the support that is provided to other families to help them stay in work. And these are families we really do need to be in work because they're doing some of the most important jobs in the country.
OK, Social Services Minister Scott Morrison, thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks very much, David. Good to be with you.